This is a spoiler review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for Embracing the Grind YouTube channel. This was a mediocre Marvel movie in my book. I would be kind of okay with the movie if this was a new character and not an existing comic book character that was heavily changed, or as it is often said, retconned. Retroactive continuity, or retcon for short, is when established facts in the plot of a fictional work, which were established through continuity, are modified, ignored, or contradicted by a subsequently published work which breaks the consistency of this continuity. Shang-Chi, also known as the Master of Kung Fu, is a superhero appearing in comic books published by Marvel Comics. The character was created by writer Steve Englehart and artist Jim Starlin, debuting in Special Marvel Edition 15 back in 1973 and starred in his own solo title until 1983. Shang was originally the unknown son of fictional villain Fu Manchu. This character and other supporting characters were created by novelist Sax Rohmer. In later editions, his connection to Fu Manchu was underplayed after Marvel lost the comic book rights to the character. To get around this problem, the publisher eventually started calling Shang-Chi's father Zhong Zhu. I was a big fan of the original series and I have read the whole run. It was heavily influenced by the movie Enter the Dragon starring Bruce Lee. It was a violent and bloody comic book series, a mixture between James Bond-style storytelling, without guns of course, and action inspired by Bruce Lee. This movie, on the other hand, was a simple popcorn movie, with an underwhelming villain in Wenwu, Chang's father. It was full of generic kung fu action. By generic I mean the type of kung fu that has no practical application and includes lots of blocking and acrobatics. This type of so-called fighting is inspired by kata or form competition and is designed to impress. There is no connection to real-life fighting. All fights end in professional wrestling-style outcomes, like when Chang beats his sister and then she knocks him out when he is not looking. Both characters get to win this way. The same goes for Chang's fight with his father. Chang beats him and gets the rings only for his father to save him and give him the rings back. There are no true villains here besides the soul-consuming demonic creature and its minions. I did not like Marvel's decision to make the fighting sequences about the rings. They are not even finger rings like in the original Mandarin's case. I would probably prefer that. They went with the wrist and forearm rings to make sure that the owners would have to use kung fu moves in order to use them, the same way Doctor Strange does to cast his spells. What this does, is to tie Shang to the rings as a magic weapons user. It undermines his status as a martial artist. Not that it would make any difference anyway. Instead of using Matrix-style versions of modern kung fu to include real fighting moves, they went with the acrobatic style of martial arts. This is the style that is being fed to the masses. This type of choreography is of no interest to me. I liked some Tai Chi throws and trapping techniques, but I did not like anything else in the fighting scenes of this movie. I would prefer if they made Chang super strong and let him use an artificially powered style of kung fu. And they could at least include some grappling and kickboxing, not just open hand stances and acrobatics. Another thing I don't like in recent Marvel productions, is that there are no real stakes involved in fighting sequences. In this movie, I was never worried about the outcome of a fight. It was almost like watching a comedy. I was just supposed to be amazed by all the acrobatic flips and everybody flying around like Iron Man. To make things worse, even the visual effects looked fake in several scenes. For fighting scenes to be believable, there need to be elements of real fighting incorporated in them. Fighters should be vulnerable enough to get hurt or tired and even lose fights. Opponents should be dangerous and intimidating. A fighting scene should be written as a sequence that helps reveal character traits of the fighters involved. The outcome of the scene should be essential for the story to move forward. Fighting scenes should provide information about the story and characters involved. They should also impact the final scene or outcome of the movie. If you can remove a fighting scene from a movie, without losing essential information from the plot, then this scene is not essential. It is just an exhibition scene. Don't get me wrong, you can use exhibition scenes to showcase a fighter's abilities or weaknesses. A filmmaker, though, should avoid using scenes like these just to impress the audience with a fighter's skills. They should be integrated and become essential to the story. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings treats fighting scenes as a collage of flashy moves that offer just spectacle, but there is no substance behind them. Why do we care, you may ask? Because the main character's supposed skill set is that of a martial artist. And he should be able to express himself with his art. And the movie fails to do this. I really hope that Marvel goes back to the style of action featured in Winter Soldier and Infinity War. In these movies there were always high stakes involved, whether a character would win or lose. In fact, action was its own character instead of being an exhibition of characters pretending to be impressive. If you want to see real badass action, just watch the Attack on Titan anime. Then compare it with the action in this movie. To summarize my review, I find these types of fight scenes to be similar to those in circus acts. I would also probably enjoy the movie more if it were about a brand new hero instead of retconning one of my favorite comic book characters in Shang-Chi. I give this movie a 6 out of 10 both as a movie and in relation to the fight sequences. Please subscribe and hit the bell button. Support this channel with super chats, donations and memberships. Let me know in the comments if you want me to review more action movies.